ride down the Androscoggin River is a tour through Maine's forestry and biodiversity that's as fluid as the water itself.
There are beavers in the river, there are muskrats in the river, ducks, Canada geese, blue herons.
But through the welcoming waters are reminders of a darker time in the river's history.
This is where the pollution would come from then?
Yeah, dumped out, yeah.
What comes out of there now?
Here, almost nothing.
That wasn't the case when Peter Rubens, the chair of Grow LA's Working River Group, came to Lewiston in 1968.
If you were out here at that point, what would we be riding through?
Yeah, foam, fecal matter. There was a terrible smell in the air all the time, and foam was about 8 to 10 feet high, and it was basically a dead river then.
Paper mills built along the river dumped their waste in its waters, making the Androscoggin one of the most polluted rivers in America. Its smell caught the nose of many, but it caught the eye of a man who was born along its shores.
He lived right on the banks of the Androscoggin River, and he talked about the stench, the smell, and the other effects of pollution. So surely that was part of his memory.
Senator Edmund Muskie never forgot the smell or the sight of a river in distress, leading him to champion the environmental cause in Washington. The future Secretary of State broke through with the landmark Clean Air Act of 1970 and the Clean Water Act of 1972, which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. Professor Joel Goldstein of St. Louis University is writing a biography of Muskie, and he says Muskie got the bill passed by building consensus.
When Senator Muskie chaired the subcommittee, he did it in a very inclusive manner. Everybody's voice mattered.
That consensus led both houses to override President Nixon's veto of the act, banning the kind of pollution that led to Muskie's beloved Androscoggin falling into disrepute. But its recovery was not overnight.
And the states had to take it up. And John Nutting, our state representative at the time, helped pass the color, odor, and foam bill that put the industry on notice that they had to start cleaning up the river. This was in 1989. And then the dioxin bill in the 90s, and a phosphorus bill in the early 2000s.
But 50 years on, the fruit of the Clean Water Act has borne in what was once its poster child.
There's kayaking, there's crew, there's bicyclists, there's the walking paths.
Above all else, there is enjoyment of a natural resource that was once a scourge and is now a testament to the man who grew up on its shores and started a movement.
The limitation upon the capacity of this planet to sustain the very life which inhabits. Never before has man ever appreciated the fact that there are such limitations. There are. We must deal with them.
For Maine's Total Coverage, I'm James Corrigan.